Today I want to talk about why Greg Plitt was such an influential character and why he has such a long-lasting legacy. Even though he didn't fundamentally achieve anything, he didn't fundamentally have any great feats of strength, any great feats of anything. He wasn't the best bodybuilder. He wasn't the most athletic individual. He wasn't the strongest guy either. He really just had something about him. It wasn't just his motivational speeches alone. Because if you really do watch the long forms of his speeches, he just goes off on the whip and he always has something to say. He's able to make something out of nothing. He's able to see the beauty in the ugly. He's able to see the excitement and the thrill and the mundane and the boring. He's able to just make it happen. Whatever it is, he's able to make something out of his current circumstances. He's able to use, like, for example, there's this one story that he shares in one of his videos before he passed. He talks about this guy that said, well, why are you in your basement raising your ceiling? It's like, you don't even look up half the time, you're looking down. Greg Plitt responds, because I'm always looking up. I'm always trying to break through new barriers. I'm always trying to break through new heights and new feats of strength. I'm always reaching for something that's better, something that's bigger than me. That's one example of many, where he's able to just find the beauty and even a hard situation as lifting your ceiling in a freaking basement. He has another analogy where he says, man, if you're 30 years old and you're a fat slob and you're out of shape, and by 31 you get in shape, that's 60 more years you have to live to be in shape in a healthy lifestyle, to really get your life back. And I think that's why he was such an influential individual, is because he was able to see what others couldn't. He's able to see hope in hopelessness. He was able to find symbolism in lifting his roof in his basement. He was able to find symbolism in different characters in his life that have caused him harm, that have done him bad, and he never fell back on his military career. Although he very well could have. He was an Army Ranger. He was a captain in the Army as an Army Ranger, I believe. And he very well could have fell back on that. And there's something beautiful about just leaving that victory on its own and chasing something more beautiful, something that's bigger than him. He related to a lot of people's circumstances and situations. Now, of course, I didn't notice him when he was alive, but now that he's dead and his legacy lives on, I see it. He used to accept emails from all of his the people that followed him, all the people that really wanted to support him and really were driven by his videos. And more importantly, he didn't really harp on the successes of individuals. He really harped on the hardships that people were going through. There were people that were emailing him saying, man, like, I'm just hanging around these people and I feel like my potential can go so much higher. And say, like, man, I got rejected from an employer because I didn't have a college degree, even though I explained to them, hey, I was deployed in the Middle East. I can withstand way much more struggle than your average college attendee. He really resonated with the average struggling individual, and he didn't just resonate with them. He really understood them, and he explained why, and he gave examples. He gave all his heart into it. Greg Plitt wasn't this stoic figure either, which is crazy coming from a military veteran who did deploy in the Middle East. He didn't come back as a soldier. He didn't come back as this mindless, brainless, stoic soldier. He came back as an individual with a purpose to really live for. He really was a larger than life character, but he actually lived the experiences that he was relating to, that he was able to relate to. And not only that, and going back, he was also emotional. He really did feel. When I mean really did feel and really did understand, there were several times in videos where he did cry, he did tear up, he did get emotional, because he understood that there was something courageous about that, courageous about putting yourself out there, courageous about putting your emotions on the line, putting yourself on the line, putting your manhood on the line, and saying, I don't care. I don't care, because I stand for what I believe in. And what I believe in is that this person's struggling just as I did. You know, he had a video of him putting his dog down, you know, and you might think like, man, he must have lost a lot of life in Afghanistan, but he cried over a dog. You know, that's just the character he was. You know, he really did feel for other people and other living creatures, including his dog. He really was a larger than life character. And you know, he was a man's man. I'll say he was a man's man, because he wasn't afraid of being emotional. He wasn't afraid of putting his manhood on the line and really showing that he cared by, you know, getting emotional for people, getting emotional for his followers, getting emotional for their circumstances, because he understands hardships. He understood the hardships that they're going through, and he understands how much of a losing battle it might seem at the time. Anyways, I think that's all I gotta say. God bless.